Hey everyone, and welcome. So get this. Some experts are predicting that AI could automate up to 80% of traditional QA tasks in just the next 5 years. I mean, that's a huge number, right? And it's forcing this massive question across the entire industry. In a world that's increasingly run by AI, what does it actually mean to be a leader in quality assurance? Today, we're going to break that all down.
So let's just jump right into it. The question that's probably on a lot of your minds. Is AI making your hard-earned QA skills, well, obsolete? Look, this is a real source of anxiety for a ton of professionals out there, and it's exactly what we need to tackle head on.
You know, it's a totally valid concern, but the answer isn't to fight against AI. It's really to understand how it's changing the game so we can adapt and, honestly, thrive. So let's start by digging into the core of this whole thing, the AI disruption itself.
For years, the bread and butter of QA was all about that meticulous manual test creation and running those endless regression suites. But here's the new reality, folks. Sophisticated AI can now do a lot of that heavy lifting, and with incredible efficiency. Now, this isn't a threat. It's actually a huge opportunity for all of us to move up the value chain and focus on the much more strategic, high-impact work.
And this slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? Take a look at this comparison. The old focus was on the doing, the repetitive, manual stuff. The new focus, it's all about guiding. So instead of just running the tests, you might be the one designing the entire testing strategy for a new AI-powered feature. Your value is no longer just in the execution, but in that strategic oversight, in leading your team through these complex tech transitions, and in building a real culture of innovation.
Okay, so we've seen how the value in QA is shifting from just doing the work to shaping the strategy. But how do you actually make that leap in your own career? Well, that's where the new QA playbook comes in. Let's explore how to become what we're going to call the aspirational QA professional.
This is really the new gold standard, and it's kind of a hybrid role. Deep technical knowledge means you actually get the difference between a neural network and a decision tree. Strategic thinking? That's about connecting a new feature to its real impact on customer retention. Continuous learning means you're always on top of the latest AI tools. And a strong personal brand? Well, that just makes sure your amazing work is actually seen by the people who need to see it.
So, this first pillar is absolutely non-negotiable: continuous learning. I mean, the amount of new information out there, from AI frameworks like TensorFlow to security standards like GDPR, it can feel like a tidal wave. But those who just stand still risk getting left behind. So what should you learn? I'd say start with the basics of machine learning, then dive into the AI tools that are relevant to your field. And please, don't ever forget about security and privacy. They are more critical than ever. Now, this second pillar might surprise you a little bit: building your personal brand. Think of it like this. If your career was a product you were selling, what would its key features be? Your expertise in automation? Your knack for leading a team? Maybe your deep understanding of the customer? Your personal brand is basically the story you tell about your value, and it's built not just on doing great work, but on how you share that value with your professional community.
You know, what's really interesting here is the mindset shift. This quote just nails it. Building your brand isn't about ego. I once worked with this absolutely brilliant QA engineer who was amazing, but so quiet that literally no one knew about their incredible work. It wasn't until they started sharing their insights in meetings and writing a few internal blog posts that they finally got the recognition and, yeah, the opportunities they totally deserved. It's a strategic move.
Okay, so building a strong personal brand is crucial for your own success. But what about leading a whole team in this new era? Let's zoom out a bit from individual skills and look at the fundamental business responsibilities of a true QA leader today. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to these three things. First, you own product quality. That means you're not just finding bugs, you're working with developers to prevent them from ever happening. Second, you are responsible for growing your people. You're not just managing a team, you're coaching them to become the next generation of QA leaders. And third, you build the processes that lead to excellence. You're not just following a process, you're constantly hunting for ways to make it better.
And you don't do any of this in a silo. A modern QA leader spends a huge chunk of their time collaborating, as this chart kind of shows. You're working with developers to build quality in from the start, with product managers to align on what really matters, and with customer service to understand user pain points. And why is this so critical? Because when you build those strong relationships, you catch problems way earlier, you make smarter decisions, and ultimately, you deliver a much, much better product.
So here's the crucial point. Your ultimate skill is translating all those technical details into business impact. I remember this one time finding a major security vulnerability just days before a huge launch. The engineers were, focused on the technical fix, but the executives were worried about brand damage. My job was to be the bridge in that gap, to explain the technical risk in terms of customer trust and potential lost revenue. That translation, that's what makes a QA leader truly invaluable.
So we've seen how important it is for QA leaders to speak the language of business, but how do you actually develop that skill along with all the others we've talked about? Okay, let's get practical. Here's a strategic roadmap with 4 clear, actionable things you can start doing right now.
All right, we're going to break down 4 key strategies. Think of these as the 4 pillars that are going to support a successful, future-proof career in QA. They are adopting new tech cautiously, broadening your experience, fostering relationships, and mastering communication.
First up, be thoughtful about new tech. Don't just chase every shiny object. Adopt the tools that solve real business problems. Second, become a generalist. Get hands-on with automation, performance, security testing, the whole shebang. Third, build bridges. Seriously, your influence grows like crazy when you have strong relationships across the company. And finally, perfect your communication. Your ability to clearly explain complex quality issues to a non-technical audience is an absolute superpower.
And as you build out those strategies, really focus on these skills, the ones that AI just can't replicate. Automation is an amazing tool, but it lacks human creativity, intuition, and that critical thinking. Your ability to do a complex risk assessment or run a really insightful exploratory test is what makes you essential. And when you bring these skills to your team, you're not just boosting your own performance, you're helping build a more resilient and innovative QA organization.
So we've seen how the skills that make us uniquely human are becoming more valuable than ever. And that brings us to the future of quality. It's so easy to see all this change as a threat, but I really want you to see it for what it is, your single greatest career opportunity. Let's be honest for a second. The pace of change, the new tools, the constant pressure, it is overwhelming sometimes. But it's this very complexity that creates a vacuum for real leadership. In chaotic times, the person who provides clarity, strategy, and direction becomes absolutely indispensable. And that person can be you. This final quote just perfectly captures the opportunity in front of us. Because software is more complex than it has ever been, strong QA leadership is no longer just a nice-to-have, it is absolutely essential for a company to succeed. I've seen it over and over again in my own career. The companies that invest in strong QA leadership are the ones that win. The ones that don't, they struggle.
The demand is crystal clear. The roadmap is right here in front of you. The skills that matter most are the ones that need human ingenuity and strategic vision. So the only question left is this: the future needs QA leaders. Will you be one? I really hope so, because the future of quality depends on it.